Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
Hey there guys, Unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're all doing well, and in this video we're going to be talking about Rian Johnson and his Star Wars trilogy as he provides a little bit of an update and tease for the long delay for his next Star Wars trilogy. Let's go ahead, we're going to hop right on into it. We're going to be taking a read from the director's article. I'm going to have their full article linked down in the description down below for you guys to check out there as well. As it reads, there's one thing many Star Wars fans would likely agree with. The Rise of Skywalker wasn't quite the big finale that it should have really been. However, it's the 8th episode of the saga, directed by Rian Johnson, that was, however, the most diverse amongst the fans, that there being The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi is regarded by some as one of the best entries of the whole franchise, yet others feel it's the exact opposite, aka one of the worst. Many didn't like how it felt. It was tearing down everything set up from The Force Awakens, and certainly killing off Snoke didn't help either. Despite all of that, the polarizing reaction, Lucasfilm ended up announcing that Johnson would be creating his own Star Wars trilogy, an own set of Star Wars films, outside of the Skywalker saga, so what can he really mess up if you want to put it like that? However, there hasn't been much news on those projects since they were announced. In fact, at one point in time, many were convinced that it had been outright cancelled and, well, quote-unquote shelved. And, well, you know, when it comes to Star Wars, when something is shelved, it pretty much can be confirmed that it's not happening, just forget about it. Well, now the director himself has spoken up about his long-delayed batch of films for the Star Wars franchise and confirmed once again that they are not being cancelled. In a recent interview with Variety, Rian Johnson talked about his upcoming Star Wars trilogy, projects that the general populace hasn't heard all that much about since it was first announced, a couple of years ago at this point in time. When asked what the status of his upcoming Star Wars trilogy is, the director noted that they're still talking about it and that he doesn't know when it'll properly get off the ground. In that full quote, he says, "Look, I still have talked to Kathy Kennedy about it, and we're still talking about it. I had much of an amazing experience making The Last Jedi front to back. It was just the best professional experience of my life, and I love Star Wars so much. And I also, just as a fan, it's so much fun right now, like with the stuff that they're making now. And I just feel like we're in a time where there's lots of cool Star Wars shit going on." But honestly, and Kathy said this recently in an interview, that she already put this really well. It's entirely a matter of scheduling. For me right now, putting this Glass Onion movie out and then making the next one of these. So the answer is, I don't know, ending the quote right there. So what we do currently know is that Rian Johnson's really caught up as of right now, working with his Knives Out franchise, with Glass Onion recently coming out. It looks like a phenomenal movie, and I hear it's on Netflix, so I'd highly check it out, especially if you love the first Knives Out movie, which I do. This was something else that we had covered a couple of weeks ago now at this point in time here on the channel, from an interview of Kathleen Kennedy talking about his Star Wars trilogy and how it isn't canceled, it's still going to be a thing, it's still happening, despite out of all of these years, nothing had been said, not a peep has been said about this really all that much, well, officially coming from Lucasfilm or anything like that in those regards, but yet she still said that they are talking and that it is really simply a matter of scheduling conflicts for the time being. For what we can expect maybe for as of right now, as I had talked about in that video, I'll also reiterate here as well, since it's been quite some time since that last video there, I'm going to go ahead and just put a guess out there, is that Rian Johnson is going to probably make one last Knives Out movie here, and, you know, kind of like a trilogy type of thing, right? And then be done with it. He's gonna, you know, take a break from it, whatever, maybe he'll come back to it. We don't know. I don't really care. It's not really Star Wars related, to be completely honest with you. And yes, I still like those movies. And so I think that after he makes that third installment, that is when we can see him get into the works here with when it comes to Star Wars. I definitely think that we'll be seeing him pick up the Star Wars project after that third installment. From there, the article goes on to talk about, but will it actually ever happen? To that question, Johnson explained, "God, I hope so," saying that in a quote, while also adding how he hasn't written any of those movies just yet. Currently, the director is busy working on Glass Onion and that murder mystery series as a whole with Knives Out, as I had mentioned. When asked if he had known any of Colin Trevorrow's original Episode 9 plans and if Johnson himself had his own ideas ventured, the director confirmed he had not. He even pointed out that there wasn't a roadmap whatsoever. Okay, so this just took an interesting turn from right here. If you don't know who Colin Trevorrow is the director of the Jurassic World movies, and instead of making episode 9, what was supposed to be The Rise of Skywalker, or what it is The Rise of Skywalker, it was supposed to be called Duel of the Fates. He was originally going to create that. He was going to write it, he was going to direct it, and everything like that. But Colin Trevorrow got busy with the Jurassic World franchise and everything like that, so he didn't do episode 9 for those clear-cut reasons. And so when asked from, of course, Rian Johnson here, if he had any idea about episode 9, if they had any plan or anything like that, if he had maybe written any plan or anything like that, he says that there wasn't even a roadmap for the overall sequel trilogy here whatsoever. And, well, I can say both, yes, there was, and no, there was not. I mean the sense of, yes, there was from George Lucas, he had a written out sequel trilogy, and then from the fact of, no, there wasn't, because Disney didn't have anything written out. This isn't news, this is something that we do know about, and no, this is not a video hating on the sequels or anything like that, or how it was executed or anything like that. It's interesting though, however, to get, those inputs here from the people that worked on it, and especially from Rian Johnson himself as well. He's such a controversial, I guess, director and creator out there overall when it comes to the film and movie industry there as a whole as well, from what happened with The Last Jedi and everything like that. So in that full quote about talking about if there wasn't even a roadmap here for, the sequel trilogy or anything like that whatsoever, maybe also kind of like further explaining like why The Last Jedi might have felt so much more random even at that, he says, end quote, no, and there weren't. And to be fair, it's not like there was a roadmap drawn out, the same way there wasn't for The Force Awakens. The deal with these was very much, and I'm not saying that hasn't already been put out there already, it was very much each filmmaker coming in and kind of taking the baton from the last one. So no, the plan for me was to make a second one and then step back for whoever was going to end up making the third one, ending the quote right there. The article continues to say, when asked if the strategy at the time was dropping the mic and just leaving for the next filmmaker, the director noted it was more of a hand the mic off to the next person sort of situation, though Johnson did admit that he was very conscious through the whole process of setting up story elements for future films, and that maybe he did want to go into this type of direction with, The Rise of Skywalker, if he were to have maybe directed it. But from what we're kind of hearing from this, whole article and interview here, it doesn't sound like that, he ever was supposed to end up working on episode 9, and that there was, always intended to have somebody else come back around and work on that, whether it was going to be J.J. Abrams, who already, written and directed The Force Awakens, or if it was going to be some totally random other person at that there as well, maybe such as Colin Trevorrow. In that full quote, he says, no, hand off the mic to the next person, and that's the balance I was trying to ride with The Last Jedi. I didn't want it to just end with ... I wanted to have a satisfying emotional ending, but I was also very conscious through the whole thing of setting up story elements to hopefully pass on to the third movie. So that's the job, ending the quote right there. So in those regards and everything that's going on here of how he's like reflecting on the previous movies and the previous like non-existent roadmap there at the same time of everything that went on with that, I do feel bad for Rian Johnson, of course. I mean, he's overly hated. He was simply having fun with it. This is the way that it was set up. This is something that's been revealed to us before from, J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy and other people that have worked on these movies, of course, here. But from Rian Johnson, I don't really feel like we've heard this type of, thing really come from him all that much here. This is something I would like to talk about maybe in depth in a separate future video here on the channel, but like this entire video has like literally been about this. So let's go ahead and talk about when should fans expect Rian Johnson's next trilogy. As our article goes on to continue and talk about that there, assuming the trilogy does in fact actually happen, what could fans expect? When could fans expect to actually see it at that there as well? One idea is that it will take place sometime after The Rise of Skywalker. Many people seem to want to move away from the Skywalker saga, so hopefully it is his movies do take place then they'll still be notably removed from those events and characters and moving on somewhere different, as I had mentioned. So in the sense of that, it's still taking place canonically, like in the same Star Wars timeline and everything like that, and of course, like, that's just how it is. That's canon. That is what canon is. It's the Skywalker saga, of course. It's something that we've been knowing about. However, it would be moving, ahead of the events of The Rise of Skywalker, moving forward with different characters and different storytelling and everything like that, of course, would be very interesting to see. So the article from there mentions how another possibility is that the upcoming trilogy will take place in the High Republic era. This is something a lot of other Star Wars fans really want, which has been the subject of a number of recent Star Wars books. It's also the same time frame that is rumored to be a part of the upcoming Acolyte Disney Plus series. So maybe the 2 and 2 can kind of like, I guess connect or something like that would be kind of interesting to see. There's also the Old Republic, which is kind of like the same as the High Republic, which is as of now is a non-canon time frame in the new Star Wars continuity and canon and everything like that. Maybe Rian Johnson can help bring it to life on the big screen and carry over some of those older beloved canon, elements from the Star Wars Legends and the Star Wars Legends books and comics and video games even would be really cool to see. At the end of the day, as our article goes on to conclude, it is something that is completely different on all levels, new planets, characters, sets of people, everything like that. That breath of fresh air could be very beneficial to the franchise as a whole. Something that, some other Star Wars shows have done here, kind of like Andor, stepping a little bit away from, like those main, characters and the royal Skywalker family type of thing there. Same thing kind of for the, the Mandalorian. It kind of has done. It's kind of, dipping its way back into that way, featuring Luke Skywalker and Book of Boba Fett and Ahsoka and everything like that. That's not wrong. That's not bad or anything like that. It is nice to have a breath of fresh air, though, however, and that's exactly what the Andor show is. I definitely think that is what the High Republic, the Acolyte show is really going to be as a prequel series being set 100 years before The Phantom Menace. I'm more than excited to see something like that there as well. From there, that is where the article ends, and as I had also mentioned, I have this full article linked down in the description down below for you guys there to check out as well. If you guys want to look into that, it's linked in the description down below. I want to know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comment section down below. What do you guys think about Rian Johnson as a director as a whole, his work with The Last Jedi and the Star Wars franchise as a whole, as of right now? What do you guys want his Star Wars trilogy to be about? Do you want it to be moving forward, after the events of The Rise of Skywalker, or maybe as a prequel with the High Republic / Old Republic type of era? I'd love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Of course, this has been Unofficial Star Wars. Thanks so much for watching today's video. As always, may the Force be with you. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a great one, guys. Peace out.